Welcome to the first part of the organizing formula. I'm so excited to share this with you because it's one of my favorite topics. So, what's in a vision anyway? The answer is everything. Every project you start needs to have a finish line, and we have to be clear on what we want, how it'll look, and most of all, how it'll make us feel once we get there. Your why is everything. My former boss, Estee Lauder, once said, projecting your mind into a successful situation is the most powerful means to achieve goals. And what I think she meant by that is, if you can visualize it, it can probably happen. So in this lesson, I want you to visualize the end goal. If you could wave a magic wand, what would happen? To illustrate my point, let's say that you have decided to get your closet organized. Almost everyone has a closet, so it shouldn't be too hard to imagine. Picture it now and consider your why. Why do you want your closet organized? What would be your goal? And you can have more than one. But think about it for real. Would it be so that it would look neater? Would it be so that you could find items faster? Would it be to make sure that you save time in the morning? What is the reason? We need a really strong goal statement here to keep you on track. And what really helps with this is if you tune into the emotions around it. Because whether we like it or not, we are emotional beings and our feelings run the show most of the time. So consider this. Once the closet was organized, how would that make you feel? Would you feel relieved? Would you feel excited, empowered? All of the above maybe? Tune into that now and visualize it. And if you need to take a moment and pause the video and close your eyes, by all means do so. I want you to answer the questions with a so that statement so that we get to your real why. For example, if you just say, well, I want my closet to look nice. That's a fine goal statement, but it's not the whole story. Why do you want it to look nice? Why is that important to you? So instead, answer the question fully. Your statement could be something like, well, I would want my closet to look nice so that I don't have to scramble in the morning by looking for things. It'll make me feel much less stressed, which will enable me to then start my day in a better way and feel more confident. So it's a simple example, but do you see how that is a much better goal statement than just saying, I want it to look nice? A statement like that just doesn't have enough details to it, so we need to get a real one. The clearer you are on your purpose, the better your project will go. And this is actually how you stay motivated in the long run. You connect it to a very strong why. Next, once you have your goal statement in place, it's time to think about all the logistics of the project and the tangible details. So with your systems hat on, get curious about what has been stopping you from completing this project in the past. Have you tried it before? And if so, why did it not work out? Was it a lack of time, a lack of knowledge? Was it too overwhelming? I want you to really think about the answer here, because the more specific you are, the more you can overcome that obstacle this time around. If you know what you're up against, we can work towards the solution. If we don't know, it's not going to happen. So your newly acquired knowledge of how systems work should now be giving you a hint of what the real problem might be. Does the system exist? In other words, do we have a closet where we can work with our clothes? Probably you answered yes. If you're dealing with a closet scenario, there is likely a system in place already. How do we know that? Well, most homes have closet spaces, so it's one of those more obvious systems that anybody can identify. But there is more to this than simply identifying the storage space. We also have to identify bottlenecks, remember? Does the closet system function as intended? What are we dealing with in terms of the process? What's not working? Do we have too much clothing for the space to hold? Do we need better hangers? Do we need to improve or delegate the laundry process? We have to identify all the possible problems. I'm sure you can see just how much decision-making happens here in the early stages, and that's why organizing projects can sometimes feel a bit overwhelming. But that's okay, we just need to break them down and take it one step at a time. Let me share a quick story with you. I once had a client who only purchased very, very high-end clothing. It was her decision because, fashion was her passion, as she liked to say. But she never had anything to wear, and she was always frustrated, and she could never find anything. So she hired me to organize her closet, and once we started going through the process, we found an unexpected bottleneck. You see, it wasn't actually about her closet at all. It wasn't a storage issue as she had thought. She actually had a very nice home with a large closet that could hold more than everything she had. There was plenty of space. It was just that many of her items weren't ready to be used. They were actually nowhere near the closet at all. Her problem was the laundry process. Because of the high-end nature of her clothing, a lot of it was dry clean only, and she never had time to go to the cleaners. So her clothes were not properly maintained. They were either hanging somewhere outside of the closet, or they were used somewhere in a pile, and if she, by some miracle, got them to the cleaners, she would forget to pick them up until the place called and reminded her. So half of her items were actually scattered around in different places. And no wonder she couldn't find what she needed in the closet, right? There were a few other things going on, but in a nutshell, her process was just overly complicated, and her clothes never made it back to the closet once they came out of it. There were just too many steps, and it took way too long. It took too much of her energy, and she just kind of forgot or didn't bother. So to start solving her problem, we added weekly dry cleaning to her assistant's responsibilities, and boom, instant improvement. Remember, your process has to match your current reality. Now, for you as an onlooker listening to the story, this might seem like an obvious solution again. Of course she should delegate or buy some, wear anywhere, wash anywhere type clothing. But the thing is that we often have trouble spotting our own problems. That's why they call them blind spots. An outside perspective helps tremendously with this. And that's why we, as organizers, will always have plenty of work. But even if hiring somebody isn't an option for you, perhaps you can ask a friend or a family member for help. Maybe they can spot something that you're not seeing. Any extra set of eyes that you can get is always so helpful. So think about that and see whom you might be able to get to assist you. All right, to sum up, I hope you enjoyed that. It's really important that you have a very clear vision for what you want to achieve, and that you can also identify possible obstacles that might come in your way. Anything that you can figure out right here is a big bonus and gives you a head start on achieving those goals. So go create a powerful vision statement for yourself and hang on to it for the next lesson, because that's where we're going to talk about how to start acting on that goal statement to make progress. So click on friend, and I will see you soon.